So welcome to episode 10 of Level Up, everybody, our weekly Q&A show where your questions drive our conversation. If you're watching on LinkedIn or on YouTube, please do follow the links in the chat over to Slido, which is really where you get to drive the show by voting up the questions that you want answered and also by adding your own. The first half of the show, well, it's general Q&A, and this week's theme is all about careers. So you can ask pretty much anything really relating to that. We'll do our best to give you a straight answer. In the second half, we've chosen a topic where we want to spend a little bit more time. And today we're going to explore the world of professional memberships. So let's jump straight into it. We'll meet our panel for today. I'm going to start over in Australia, in Perth, with Louisa Leung. Welcome back, Louisa. Great to see you again. How are things at Lifting Lanterns?
Hi, Nick. It's great to be back at Lifting Lanterns, who are a small training and consulting company. So we believe in giving back to the community. So happy to be back again. And even though it's a public holiday today, I'm glad to be on board.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much for giving us some of your precious holiday time. It's really nice of you, so thank you. And let's stay in the same country, but hop across over to the other side and welcome the first of our panelists who's representing a membership body today, Sian Rinaldi, who is the Global Vice President of the Change Management Institute. Welcome, Sian. Please do tell us a little bit about yourself and the Institute itself.
Yeah, hi. My name's Sian Rinaldi, as Nick mentioned. I'm from Canberra, Australia, and representing the Change Management Institute. So we are a professional body for change managers. We are global, which is really exciting, and one of the great benefits is actually talking to colleagues from across the world and understanding what's happening on the forefront of change in all of different areas.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I know you have a very, very strong following, and I do actually follow quite a few of the kind of more local chapters, you know, on LinkedIn. So it's really great to have you here. Somebody also now up in the UK who's been building community for many years is Eileen Roden. She is the director and co-founder of the House of PMO, a home for all of those people working in the PMO space around the world. Great to see you, Eileen. Welcome.
Morning, Nick. So yes, my name's Eileen. I'm here in Solihull, in the UK. We established the House of PMO in February this year, because we felt that it was helpful to have something that focused purely on PMO. So although we've been doing activities for the last 8 years, that's quite new. And I also run a training company, guess what, aimed at the PMO. So we have a company called PMO Learning, where we deliver training and consultancy for those working in the PMO. So a bit focused.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, thank you very much. And I've met you many times at various conferences, and I know how engaged that community is and what a pivotal part of delivering, you know, outcomes and value from projects and programs and portfolios PMO colleagues are. Over to the US next, and we welcome Tom Kruse, who's the Director for Worldwide Advocacy with the Business Relationship Management Institute. And I think, Tom, you've got your membership conference coming up pretty soon, is that right?
That's absolutely right, Nick. Actually, starting next Monday, so in just about a week, we have BRM Connect coming up. So as Nick mentioned, with Business Relationship Management, or BRM Institute, like Sian and the Change Management Institute, it is also global, and we really thrive on membership and on seeing so many different diverse perspectives on people focusing on driving results through relationships within their organizations. So really happy to be here today. It's 1 a.m. my time, but nonetheless, very excited and thankful to be a part of this.
Okay, well, thank you very much for giving up your evening, your nighttime actually, to join us from the US so that we can talk directly with colleagues who are in Australasia and New Zealand and, you know, kind of Southeast Asia. And so I really appreciate it. And finally, then, completing our panel for today is Jeroen Geurtsen, who is joining us from the Netherlands. And this week he's kind of rejoining the panel, but as an ambassador for the Agile Business Consortium. I know, Jeroen, you've been working very hard around Agile for a very long time now and promoting the great work that they do. And I think their conference is probably coming up a little bit later. Is it in November this year?
9th of November will be a 3-day conference, yes. Yep. Jeroen Geurtsen indeed, the Netherlands, Schiedam, so near the harbor of Rotterdam, that is. Trainer, consultant, and also manager, but do myself as well a lot of work for our customers. And the good thing is that that's usually also around the world. Hopefully we can travel again soon.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, I appreciate the comments there about getting back together and so on. Now, Eileen is actually volunteered today to lead us in our focus topic, and which is something that I'm very much looking forward to. And it's all about how professional memberships can help you build your career upwards and onwards. Now then, if you feel that you could join us here and answer some of the questions, just put yourself forward. There are folks in the chat who will help you do that. Just volunteer and we'll be in touch with you soon. So let's jump straight into the questions and hear from our question master for today's session, who is Suchitra Jacob, who's joining us from Bengaluru in India. Suchitra, can we have the first question, please?
Hi, everyone. We have a question from Sharon in Delhi, India. I'm in my mid-career and contemplating switching my career path altogether. I'd like to seek some advice on how to go about this.
Okay, so switching careers midstream. Jeroen, off you go.
Yeah, it's always the only thing I can say about that is look at yourself and look at your environment. Look at where your passion is, what you like to do. If you're passionate in doing it, then you will be successful. Don't just go for the money. Go for indeed what really drives you.
Okay, thank you, Louisa, and then
I
Eileen.
see Eileen. Yeah.
I think it actually helps to get some background into where you're changing into. So whether it is a bit of training or whether it's a bit of networking or just trying to find out a bit more about that new path that you're going to, and then just really do your homework to be sure that you want to try and take that new leap.
Okay, good advice. Thank you very much, Eileen.
And I think the one thing I would say, as people certainly kind of move around project management and KMO kind of change management, is look about what knowledge and skills you have that's transferable into that new profession. So you don't kind of say, well, look, I'm starting from absolute scratch, because if you've got some work experience, the chances are you may have some things that are relevant that give you some building blocks to move forward from.
Okay, that's some really good points. Jeroen, I think I cut you off a little early. Would you like to add anything else to what you said before?
No, it's okay.
It's okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay, very good. Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I would add, panel, thank you, is that, just think about, where your heart is, because if you can find a role that you really, really enjoy doing, then it shows, and the more passionate you are about that particular role, then the more likely it is, that it will come through in your day-to-day work. And there was a gentleman who was interviewed on the television the other day, and he'd been, I think, farming, for pretty much all of his life. And he said he never did a day's work. And what he meant was he just enjoyed exactly what he did every day. And so he didn't really see it as work. Okay, very good. Let's move on to the next question. Suchitra, please.
We have a question from Milton in Perth. If I join a membership body, will I be able to directly contact other members? I would like to be able to speak directly to other members to learn from their experiences.
Okay, Sian, kick this one off, please.
Sure thing. So generally, yes. Most for the Change Management Institute, we're broken up by countries and then also chapters within countries. In normal times, and I say normal pre-COVID, there will be quite often face-to-face networking opportunities, professional sessions where you can improve your kind of knowledge of change management. Outside of COVID times, we pivoted quite quickly and we went mostly online. The UK did some incredible work setting up local change coffee chats where people would jump online and be able to share some of their sticky challenges and get some advice from their colleagues and different people. So in terms of getting the most out of a membership, I would absolutely recommend meeting and networking. That's one of the biggest pieces, I think, of the benefits of joining a professional membership, is really getting that networking and connectivity.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Tom, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, absolutely. And adding just a similar yet a little bit different perspective to answer your question, yes. If you, for example, the business relationship management membership, you join and can immediately start to contact other BRMs from all around the world. So we have a members hangout online where people can just go and chat and ask questions, and they'll be readily answered by everyone from inexperienced BRMs to those who have been doing a similar role for 20 years. We also have chapters, as well as various events in geographic regions and global events as well, such as BRM Connect coming up in about a week. So as Sean said yes to answer your question, I'm saying yes as well. I would imagine that the vast majority of membership bodies would also allow you to contact members directly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tom. And I've seen plenty of evidence of that. And Eileen, how does this work with a newly formed House of PMO?
It's interesting that when we first set up the House of PMO, our main event was something we used to call PMO Flash Mob, where we literally used to kind of turn up at a venue and said, if you want to talk about PMO type stuff, just kind of be there, where we would give, and we got such a following. What's been interesting over the last 12 months because of the pandemic, even though we really only had the intention to be UK based, we've actually become globally based almost by accident because of the pandemic. So not only do you get to meet, you can physically meet people face to face at events, but you can actually see how your profession or how people do your role in different aspects of the world and where those kind of differences are. So you get a really great and kind of broad view. And most professional bodies, and ours included, have either we'll have a LinkedIn group as well as on the actual kind of website.
Right, and those sorts of tools, the little communities which are kind of nested inside another community, a little bit like the Russian dolls, kind of help you navigate your way around a little bit. And Sian, how does it work with the Change Management Institute?
Yeah, so in terms of connectivity and things like that, a lot of it is done by your chapter in terms of local areas, but we're in the process of updating our IT systems, which will enable a lot more global connectivity as well. The other thing that I was just going to mention was with change managers and PMOs and many of these types of professions, we're often contractors, which means that we'll jump into one piece of work and then on to the next and on to the next. So you kind of don't have that co-worker kind of opportunity. You have projects. So one of the things that one of my members have told me and kind of wax lyrical about being part of a professional body is it kind of gives you that co-worker, that sounding board of people that if you have a bit of a challenge, you can ask a question and really bounce ideas off of. So yeah, that's probably one of the bigger benefits of the professional members.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Just hanging out with people, like-minded people, is so useful because you can anonymize. You can say, okay, I'm in this kind of challenging situation. Just if you kind of come across this sort of thing before, and people are generally very generous. They'll always help out. So yeah, go ahead, Eileen.
Now, I was just saying that a lot of the websites allow you to go in and do lots of reading. So, just because you become part of that group, they don't necessarily expect everybody to be there and kind of answering questions. So I know you can kind of spend, if you're quite new to the profession, you can spend time kind of reading and kind of, even if you're not brave enough to ask a question, there's lots of information, there's lots of other people who ask questions, learn from their questions as well. You're not
Yeah,
suddenly
it's
going to
very true.
expose yourself to be the newbie on the block.
Okay, good advice. But in this situation as well, I would say I would just encourage people. Asking questions is a great way to start building relationships, because people are very generous, they want to give and they want to help out and so on. So very good. Thank you very much, panel. Some great advice there, great thoughts. Suchitra, let's move on, please, to the next question.
We have a question from Haley in Canberra, Australia. What are some examples of professional development activities that the panel have undertaken recently? What has been the most beneficial for your career?
Okay, Jeroen, and then we'll go to Tom.
Yeah. Then I mention the Agile Business Consortium again, because Agile really means that in this world you need to be flexible, prepared to do things that are really necessary because the world around you is changing fast. And I can only say that taking that approach, and also the Agile Business Consortium is great in the sharing of all the practical experience that everyone has there. And the benefits for our career, well, it means that it has more than doubled the size of our company, and also very much helped our customers. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. Tom?
Absolutely. I'll mention two things in particular that I've taken place in recently. The first one being going through the new BRMP, which is the Business Relationship Management Professional Certification. So it's the introductory level that, for those of you unfamiliar with BRM, it really focuses on how organizations are built on relationships. That's cross-functionally, that's within your own team. And the BRM role really takes the strategic focus of the organization and connects that to the operational activities on a daily basis, regardless of what function you're in. So actually going through that course helped kind of open my mind to an understanding of how all that works. And the second thing that I've also done recently is I've jumped outside of BRM, outside of something that I'm focusing on, to just get a different, diverse perspective. And so what I've actually focused on is grateful leadership. And that really comes down to showing acknowledgement and appreciation for others around you, and how by doing that, you can build and foster stronger relationships with others and really just get the best out of them as they get the best out of you as well. So focusing on getting a little bit of diverse training as well can really, really help you in your career. And I would say taking both have been very beneficial to my career. I'm relatively early in my career at this point, but just through doing these, I've built incredibly strong networks at this point, just to get to know, to interact with people, and learn from others as I go about, because we're always constantly learning. And as Nick mentioned, it's incredibly important to continue asking questions and just following your passions.
Okay, thanks very much, Tom. What I would add to this, that the things that I've been doing just recently are, first of all, learning much more about how to communicate effectively over the internet. So I've been spending quite a bit of time kind of looking at that and trying to watch other examples of this kind of techniques and tools and these sorts of things. So I've been exploring those. And the main benefit for me is that I spend my life now talking to myself and pointing at the little green dot kind of in front of me. So from that perspective, I think actually it's been hugely beneficial to understand how that technology actually works and how to try and get the most out of it. So yeah, Eileen, last comment, please.
I was going to say, I think we assume when we're going to do some learning that we go and listen to other people's. And one of the things that I've found is actually giving presentations. So I was on a podcast on last Friday, and when you're actually kind of preparing the talk, you learn more about the subject just because you're preparing to talk to somebody else. And actually, when people ask you questions, it makes you think about things in a different way. And I often say, if you think you know something, the easiest way to find out what you don't know is try to teach somebody what you do know. So actually, that kind of sharing knowledge is a great way of learning yourself.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Suchitra. Let's press on. Next question, please.
We have a question from Jonathan in Sydney, Australia. How private are membership bodies? I'm worried that after joining, my details will just be used to send me marketing information.
Okay, I think it's a fear for all of us, this kind of concept around privacy and so on. So Sian, let's start with you, and then we'll hear from Jeroen and then Eileen.
Yeah, sure. So, if privacy is a concern, I would have a good read of the terms and conditions when you sign up. Most organisations will give you an indication of what they're going to use your details for. Also, make sure you set your membership updates. So most of the time, when you join, you'll be able to say, "Hey, I want to receive my newsletters," or "I'm interested in hearing from this particular thing." So you can actually have quite a bit of control over what happens with your personal information. So make sure looking into that is probably the easiest way.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Jeroen, and then Eileen.
Yeah, I fully agree with Sian on that one, because if it's indeed a good professional organization, then they will do it like that. And if they don't do it, you leave them again.
Very good, very clear. Thank you, Eileen.
It really kind of, I suppose, it's just a culmination of what's already been said. But in certainly around Europe, we're certainly protected through the legalities of holding people's data, and you will have the opportunity to control what data is held and how your data is used and who gets to use that. And things to check are things like whether they will sell your details on to other bodies or whether they're just used within their professional body themselves.
Yeah,
Sometimes
and
you do need to
I
go
have
and
to say,
find that, though.
okay, all right, good advice. Thank you, Eileen. The one thing I would say is that generally, professional bodies are actually quite protective of their members' data, because they rely on your continuing patronage and your involvement and engagement. Without engagement, there is little point in community. So from that perspective, hopefully we're all a little bit better off, because that is the primary purpose of the community. So let's move on to our next question. We're getting through these at some pace today, which is really great. If you're watching on LinkedIn or on YouTube and you want to ask a question, then just follow the little link across to Slido, where you can jump in right now and you can put your question in real time to the panel. Suchitra, next question, please.
We have a question from Deepak in Mumbai, India. I would like to start a membership body for like-minded people in India around project management. How do I go about it?
Okay, it's a great question, and one that I would suggest, kind of have a little think about the niche offering that you could provide, because there are already quite a lot of membership bodies around projects and programs and portfolio management and so on, but you may have a unique angle. Sian, go ahead, and then Eileen, and let's keep it tight, please.
It was almost a spoiler alert. Exactly as you said, have a look to see what is already there, because it's a lot easier to build on something that already exists. And it could just be that there's not something within your chapter, but reach out and you might be able to build it up.
Okay, great. Thank you, Eileen.
Yes, and certainly our experience has been is that you can do lots of other activities and work with kind of some like-minded individuals before you actually take the step of actually creating that professional body. So if you have got a unique offering and it's not already kind of covered, then actually start trying to run some events to make sure you've got a following before you go through all of the pain of setting up the professional body.
It's certainly true as well that there may not be a chapter or a branch or a subsection of a global group in your area, okay, in your region or in your city. So that's also a great place to start, because you could become the founding member of a new branch of a global organization, and then you can leverage the best of both worlds. And I know all the membership bodies that APMG work with are enriched and enhanced by having all of the different business cultures and ideas and innovations represented, as a global organization. So that local to global piece is very powerful and works very, very well. Suchitra, I think we can fit in one more question before we go to our focus topic.
We have a question from Haley in Canberra, Australia. Career goals are important, but what else should I consider when thinking about next steps for professional development?
Okay, Eileen?
I think I just want to go back to what I mentioned before about actually given something back, and how much that develops you. And one of the areas that you could look at is contributing to mentoring or coaching other people who are new into that profession. So you can use your experience to help the career continue to help the profession continue to develop with the new people coming into that profession.
Okay, it's a really good point. One of the things, perhaps the dimensions also to consider, are learning a little bit more about yourself. So explore things like, personality profiling, and, what you enjoy doing, and those situations where you feel comfortable and those situations where you feel, kind of less comfortable. It's quite interesting. A lot of people who would classify themselves as feeling challenged sometimes, just making small talk face to face at a party, are incredibly successful at communicating online. So it's an interesting set of, circumstances. So learning a little bit more about yourself and how you feel in different situations may really help. Tom, your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. And I'm really happy that you brought that point up, because one thing that I would consider or recommend people consider as well is what is your purpose? So what brings you passion every day that you wake up? What is it that's not just your career that you're focused on, that you really enjoy doing every single day? And that can be purpose, can be your family. Purpose can be being able to spend time outside. It can be literally anything, but really focus on that and try to craft your time and professional development ambitions around that as well.
Excellent. Louisa?
I think it's important to also consider branching off from the path that you've already taken. So if we look at everybody on the call, this panel, you'll see House of PMO is projects. So that deals with Agile. Agile also has a lot of change that deals with change. Change also has to deal with people's, that's business relationship. So I think people need to not just focus on one career path and one path that they're walking, but also their secondary competencies, other skills that may branch off into other areas, because everything ties quite nicely together. So it's quite important for people to consider what else have we got on a different tangent that we wouldn't have thought of in the first place.
Absolutely. Jeroen?
What I will be saying, always keep your eyes and ears, keep them open, look around. And even if it's something you have never done before, just try it, because, sitting on your chair doing nothing will not bring you further. And be active.
That's absolutely right. Thank you very much indeed. And great thoughts there from the panel from, such diverse range of brains. It's brilliant. Thank you so much indeed. Really, really good. So look, let's change gear now, if we may, and move over to our focus topic. For those of you who are engaging with us on Slido, thank you very much. Just click on the second room. There's 2 rooms in Slido, general Q&A, and click on the room now, which is all to do with the focus topic. And then you can put in your questions for Eileen Roden, who's going to take us through how professional memberships can really help in your career. So Eileen, over to you.
Thanks very much, Nick. Now, I have to say, can we just go to the very first slide, please? Thank you. Although I am one of the co-founders of House of PMO, the presentation I've put together, the few slides I've put together this morning, are really hopefully broad enough to cover all of the professional bodies. I'm not just kind of talking about ours. So if we go on to the next slide, what I've just picked up here is a piece of work that was done by Barbara Bassett, who has written lots about professionalism and what it means to be a professional. And typically, ironically, it's called a professional body because it's full of people who are interested or who want to be professionals in their particular career. And we've mentioned a few times this morning about the kind of people's passion for doing what they want to do, and there is I find a distinct difference between people who are doing a job and people who want to be a professional, who kind of enjoy what they want to do, want to continue to develop. And so you will find in a professional body people who are like-minded, who want to develop themselves and the career and the industry that within which they work. So I know we've got kind of a number there on the screen, and I really just wanted to pick out 4 key elements about how the membership bodies can kind of help us develop in our professionalism. So if we go on to the next slide, please. That's right. So the first one is that the whole kind of definition of a profession says that you have this kind of some repository of technical information that is relevant to your particular industry. And every professional body I know, and a representative of all of the ones certainly on this morning, will have some bit of knowledge. Yes, we often think about that as being kind of written down in textbooks, and a lot of that information is in textbooks, but a lot of that kind of body of knowledge is actually in the members, and that we share. So to really get an understanding of your profession, and much wider than perhaps what we're doing and working in it in our own particular organization, we get a much broader picture of this wider kind of technical side of our role within that kind of professional body. Which kind of really leads on to the second one. So if we kind of go forward onto the next slide and keep going to the next point, is about continuous professional development. So again, the vast majority of professions, it's important that you continue to develop as you go through your career. So it isn't about just kind of, right, then I've done a one-off course, or I've kind of got myself a job and that's it, I'm stuck there. It's about kind of continuous professional development. And this is where they will, lots of professional bodies will actually have continuous professional development schemes. So they will not only provide you opportunities in order to get to kind of build up your continuous professional development, but they will also kind of provide you with a framework, so helping you identify what contributes to continuous professional development. They may even give you some kind of way of recording that professional development, and they may even kind of provide some additional kind of recognition, contribute, and kind of get a different level of membership depending on what your profession and development has looked like. So really important that we kind of keep ourselves on track. And then the next bit, which I also find is kind of really interesting, and again driven by the professional bodies, so just pop onto the next slide, is this about keeping up to date. Now, one of the things, and I'm sure it's now kind of gets me to feel really old, because I've recognized in my industry around projects and programs how much has changed since I actually started work. The number of kind of new thinking around, kind of better business cases, the way, even, I got my first kind of Prince 2 qualification back in 1999, kind of years ago, and it's been through several iterations and improved. The whole kind of agile dimension has been added, the new data things that are coming on. And so all of these new developments are often contributed to, and sometimes the research is funded by the professional bodies as well. So it really is the best touch point, I think, to understand where the developments are in your particular profession. And if you're that way inclined, it also gives you the opportunity to contribute to that. And I've been very fortunate to be involved in a number of developments that have kind of increased the knowledge and provided some kind of new findings and some new theories out there to the other professionals as well. So you either gain from it or you can actually contribute to that. And then the final thing, which I absolutely believe is really important, so if we just go forward to the next point, is about this professional code of ethics. Because whether you want to be or not, if you're in a particular role, you will be the face of that profession to your organization. And leadership and guidance in terms of how we practice our profession and some of the things that we need to be mindful of, again, your professional body will have this typically kind of a code of practice, which you sign up for on membership, allows you to kind of understand the best way to promote your profession and behave in a way that's kind of safe and good for both us and our industries. And then, so just kind of realize this has kind of been a kind of a whistle stop tour of kind of some of the key aspects. But the last thing I do want to say, and interestingly, we had one of these questions about, how do I start a professional body? So professional bodies, even though they will have some core staff, as we might call them, who kind of run the organization. I don't know a professional body that isn't run by their members, that isn't driven by their members. The amount of activities that are undertaken, the amount of opportunities is absolutely driven by the members who are prepared to kind of put themselves out there, offer some time. So you don't necessarily need to be the biggest, the kind of the biggest name or the kind of the most experienced person to be able to contribute to your professional body, but your professional body will only grow if you put into it what you're hoping to get out of it. So, and that can be hugely rewarding. There was a quote, James Clear does a blog, which I was reading the other day, and says you shouldn't, kind of don't necessarily go out to try and find friendship. If you work with other people who do things that you like and you work with them, the friendships will come. And I have to say, some of my most long-standing friendships have come with working them through doing events and working with the professional body. So it's great to have kind of friends and colleagues from those professional bodies.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely so true, Eileen. And you've said so many things. I want to just spend a little bit of time with you, if I may, before we go back to the panel, just exploring a couple of aspects. I mean, one of the things that you talked about there is this sense of, giving before taking, volunteering, volunteership, if you like, and, putting something in, because, it seems so important to me. From your perspective, being in these membership groups, what impresses you when people start to roll up their sleeves and kind of just get involved and get going in whatever it is that they're doing?
Well, a passion. You really meet people who genuinely love what they want to do and or genuinely want to learn it. It does, kind of we often think that the people who volunteer are the people who've got the most to give in terms of kind of knowledge and expertise. But often the people who volunteer are the people who recognize that they want to learn, and working with other people in that industry really gives them opportunities for, somebody mentioned before on the panel, being able to ask questions in a less formal atmosphere as you're kind of preparing for advents. And I think the other thing is as well, there's so many different ways that you can contribute within your professional body. So if you work for a large organization, lots of professional bodies will look for somewhere to host, just having a room to kind of to uh, to hold an event, but also in terms of the amount of kind of emails and kind of web development that's around uh, kind of activity on the web, being part of the LinkedIn group, is opportunities there. Even things like meet and greet at some events. So, we know behind this webinar, there's lots of people in the background doing things about sorting the questions out, reading the questions out, as well as the technology. So there is lots of opportunities, not just to use your profession, but some of your other skills that you have for the help, to help the organization.
I think that's really true, and particularly as the nature of employment changes and evolves, and more people are having self-managed careers and they're working as independently and as contractors and for shorter periods. One of the best ways, I think, to be discovered, to have your talents discovered, is actually, join a membership body, start helping other people. When you help other
It's
people,
funny.
kind of they kind of connect.
Well, we had a host for some of our events, and they had got permission from their organisation to host our events once a quarter, on the basis that it removed any recruitment costs, because they found new people to join their organisation by hosting professional body events in their organisation, because they were seen to be an organisation that supported continuous professional development, and they would meet a network and meet people who they wanted to employ. They would still have to go through the recruitment process, but there wasn't the costly agency fees. So it isn't about just, if I wanted to find a new role, but also if you're looking for people to join your organisation, it's a great place to kind of to find them.
Isn't
Because
it?
if they're in the professional body, they've signed up to the fact that they're in for a profession, not because they want to do a job.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Lastly, on the we're going to go back to the panel in a moment, by the way. But lastly, just on the whole idea of the body of knowledge and maturity in membership organisations, I guess, kind of at the beginning, it's just like-minded people getting together informally to solve problems, and then you start writing things down, and you collect all of that information together, and then somebody edits it because it's becomes tricky to navigate, and then suddenly you start to get this sort of way of working together, a body of knowledge and so on, and the organization matures and creates some structure and some clarity of roles and responsibilities and so on. But for you, where do you see this next kind of era? Do you see that in a world where you can just jump online and download stuff from the internet, do you see there's still place value in that sense of real community and physical face-to-face
Well,
sharing and
it's really interesting.
ideation and workshops?
Google is out there. Other search engines are available, but typically, when you're searching, you don't really know what you're getting. And a prime example. So I'm the lead author of the P3 or Best Management Practice, and one element has got kind of 6 principles, and there is a website out there which says these are the 6 principles, but only lists 5. And if you go in the textbook, it's because the 6th principle is on the next page, and the person who kind of robbed it and put it on the website hadn't actually turned the page and put the 6th principle on. So kind of very clearly not the expertise that they were kind of portrayed to be. So I think, and certainly what we found in the House of PMO, is that they are trusted curators of information. So it's a great place to go, and typically they won't say, well, everything is on our website, don't go anywhere else to find. They will, but they will navigate you through, and they'll give you signposts to other resources that are helpful, and they're just kind of trusted curators to be able to kind of help you sort through some of the wild and wonderful stuff that's out there on the internet.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Eileen. Let's jump back to the panel now and take our first question on the focus topic. So, Eileen, we're going to come to you first, and other panelists, by all means, indicate that you would like to answer as well. Next question, please, Suchitra.
We have a question from John in Leeds in the UK. Would a professional body give me support in progressing my career? For example, what steps should I take next, or what training or certification should I undertake?
Okay, Eileen first, and then we'll come to Sian.
Okay. So most professional bodies have some different types of membership, and will have kind of quite clearly how you progress from one level of membership to the next through some structured development. And it isn't all about training. Some of it is about experience, and in certainly typically, if you want to become a fellow of an organization, of a professional body, it's about actually giving back to the industry rather than just kind of being a taker of the information provided.
Okay, thanks, Sian.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is, so access to training, access to experts providing online, courses or case studies is fantastic. A lot of professional memberships also have an accreditation program. So that's recognition of what you've achieved, and that can be really great because it's kind of like an industry standard. I know the Change Management Institute has ones, and you can actually it's an accredited program basically. With many professional memberships, you have to keep up with your professional development points. And so by saying that you're a member of the organisation, you actually have to do a level of learning, which is recognised by the organisation. So, but one of the key things I think is, and I can't. I need to harp on about it quite a bit. And one of the other hats I wear is around gender equity. And women in particular, if you are trying to build your career, join a professional membership. We have, many studies have shown that women don't use their networks to the best of their ability. So joining a professional network where it's not uncomfortable to have those conversations about what you're trying to achieve with your career, it's the place for it. It means that you can get your name out there in a really safe environment. So, if you are thinking of progressing your career or want to have a conversation with people about some of the best options for where you want to progress to, professional memberships can be a great place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And a really good point there, around gender and diversity, Jeroen.
Yeah, it's not only about theoretical things that you can learn in following a training, it's also on practical experience. And in a professional body, you will have the people sharing their practical experience with you and you sharing it with them. And that will definitely help you to know what to do and do the right things. And that will grow your career. Okay, sometimes the good thing about a certification is it gives you a badge that you can not only put on your shirt, but also on your curriculum so that other people see, okay, you have that experience. That's good.
Yeah, I think it's quite important, and it dovetails into what Sian was saying around, the accreditation and the levels that Eileen was speaking of. As you progress within a membership organisation, then all of that is crystallized into some evidence that you can share, and that can mean one of the challenges, I think, as a contractor is breaking out of always doing the same thing all of the time, because your professional CV says you're really good at that. And so people hire you because you're really good at that. But what you actually want to do is to be able to grow into that next role. And that's where things like the accreditation programs that are available to you, the being involved in a special interest group, maybe, getting engaged and learning some stuff formally and taking a certification, all of those things help crystallize your aptitude to do something into some evidence that a new employer or a new team leader or a new manager could use. Next question, please, Suchitra.
We have a question from Nick in Wokingham in the UK. Is membership something that I should pay for or my employer?
Now, I put this in because I think that the world of membership may be changing. So I'd just be interested, in the panel's view on, is this something which you're beginning to see is paid for by individuals, or is it something that you still think is the realm of the employer? Sian, go ahead.
Yeah, so I've had both. I've had my employer pay for all of my professional memberships, and I've got 3. So, that was part of my employment package. I've also paid for it myself. So, I, I think similar to getting a degree, similar to turning up to networking events, similar to any of it, I I think there's value. And making sure that you're getting the value out of it as well. I think it's one thing to pay the membership, but the second thing, and I believe Eileen mentioned it before, is really turning up and throwing your hat in the ring and being involved. When you do that, the cost of a membership, if you divide it out over the years, is generally less than $1 a day, and you can absolutely generate that amount of value.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. And then Tom, I might ask for your input on this as well.
I think where it's a new professional organisation, I think there are many of them, including ours, offer the opportunity for non-members to attend certain events, and typically the price of a single event is within the pocket of most people, and so rather than kind of dive in and whether you're going to ask your organisation to pay for that professional membership or you do need to pay for it yourself, you should, I think it's worthwhile going to a couple of events to make sure it's the right professional body for you. You have got people in your area who are or what you are hoping to meet before you kind of take that plunge.
Yeah, thank you very much. Tom, what kind of trends are you seeing? I know you're global, but what kind of trends do you see in the US?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of an amalgamation of both what Sean and Eileen had said. So Sean mentioned that she's paid for herself and her organization has also paid for memberships. And that's exactly what we are seeing over here as well. Plenty of individuals see the value in joining Business Relationship Management Institute. And so they'll just go ahead and get their own individual membership, and other organizations see the value of it. And so I'm sure that's the same across the board. And what Eileen had mentioned, though, I think is an incredibly relevant point as well, is to attend events just to make sure that you're going down the right path that fits you at the time. And then once you're able to do that, then you're able to show value and say, okay, I have actually gathered knowledge from these events. And then you can build a stronger case to go back to your employer and say, hey, look at what I can get from this type of membership.
Right.
I think it would really benefit my career and our organization through it.
Thank you very much. Louisa, closing thoughts on this particular question?
Yeah, so my perspective's a bit different because I don't work for a professional body. What happens for me is usually with the students at the end of their certifications or training with me, I would promote whichever course. So if it's a change course, I'll promote the change bodies. If it's the agiles, et cetera, et cetera. And what people always ask me is it worth paying? Full stop. Is it whether it's the company or whether it's themselves? And I think the thing that people need to understand is it's as much as you put back in. So if you see the value in doing it and you're going to take the most of it, then by all means, if you are going to attend the networking events, you're actually going to hop on, actually recertify even. So these bodies all have great certification paths, great support, great networking events. But if you don't turn up to any of it and you're purely just paying, company paying, or you're paying and you're just getting a tax return perhaps for it, then you're not actually going to get the most out of your membership. So you've got to consider is it really blocking you from joining this membership because your company's not paying? So I've heard some people say to me in the past, hey, I'm not going to join it because my company's not paying. And so then you got to go, well, does that mean you're only doing it because your company's paying it? So your company's telling you to join events, or you're trying to get the most out of the actual membership?
I think that's so important. And I'm really pleased that the whole education and training industry is moving away from talking about course participants as delegates. If you arrive at an event referred to as a delegate, irrespective of the culture and the country that you're in, start thinking, because really they should be inviting you as a participant. The whole point about going to conferences is about joining in, whether it's having a cup of coffee in the corridor outside, or sitting in and raising your hand during one of those little breakout room discussions. So get involved, take part. That's where the value lies, and that's how you start to build your network. Very good. Now look, we've got time for one more question, so we'll take that and then we'll move on from there. So Suchitra, last question please.
We have a question that's just come in from John in Leeds in the UK. Are all professional bodies now fully accessible online, or is a member expected to attend physical events to meet membership eligibility requirements?
Okay, so it's a good question because it's really a changing picture all around the world. Eileen, go ahead.
I definitely think now that all of the professional bodies that I'm part of provide sufficient online benefits to justify membership. And certainly at the House of PMO, we differentiate and say, there's a lesser fee if you're just an online member, and that allows the kind of the global collaboration. And then there's the additional fees if you want to attend local events. So all of the professional bodies I'm aware of give you enough benefit online only.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. One thing I would say to everybody is, please do talk, engage in a dialogue, with your membership body, with the professional bodies. Talk to them about your, challenges in joining and your situation. Accessibility sometimes is also an issue. not just from the point of view of a venue, but also from travel and physical distance and these sorts of things. So engage in the conversation, because generally, people will make those small adaptations which make all of the difference, for you as a person. So look, very good. Great job, panel. Thank you very much indeed. So what we'll do now is we'll go for your closing remarks. So we're just going to kind of walk around the panel now and get your thoughts on today's session. So Eileen, let's begin with you, and then we'll come to Sian next.
I think it's great to see so much interest in professional bodies, and I think they're here for the duration. And one thing I would say, if your professional body doesn't offer what you want from that professional body, then ask them. So they can actually kind of work and give you, they will continue to develop services as they continue in their own kind of path. And so ask them for what you want.
Great, thank you very much, Sian, and then Jeroen.
Yeah, thank you. Fantastic conversation. I one of my biggest passion points is networking. I've never had a job without touching base with my network. It's and I say that quite seriously. Most good things that have come to me in life have come from my network. So I'm absolutely wouldn't be where I am today without them. And one of the things that I'm very, very passionate about is making sure that people are tapping into their network. It's been said a few times, but you get out of it what you put in. My favorite question for people is, well, ask the question. The worst that someone can say is no. So if you're not sure how to start, contact them and say, hey, I really want to be involved and I'm not sure how to start. If you really want to join a professional organization and you can't afford it, talk to your work. The worst thing they can say is no. And, they might be able to give you half off, that kind of thing. I think back yourself. And there will be pathways and opportunities for professional organisations to support you.
Thanks very much indeed, Sian. Great thoughts there. Jeroen, and then Tom.
Yeah, Sian, fully agree with you on that one. And it might be that an organization is not so professional yet, but the more active that you become as a member, you might help to make that organization professional as well. It's membership, not just passive. You should be an active member and really help and build that organization work together. That will, it will take you time, but it will give you a lot more benefits. So just do that.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Tom, and then Louisa.
I just wanted to say it's been an honor to be a part of such a diverse panel. Everybody has really, really wonderful perspectives. And I echo what Eileen said in that it's refreshing to see so many people interested in professional bodies and taking their own initiative to network and learn and really make a profession out of what they want to get from it. So just the last thing that I might say, kind of in line with asking questions, right? It's never stop asking questions, but never stop asking yourself questions as well. If you're not feeling challenged or if you're not interested in what you're doing, then maybe consider a new path or ask yourself the question why. That's always a great one to go with.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. And Louisa, we began with you and we're going to kind of conclude the panelist comments from you before we come to Suchitra, but your closing thoughts from today.
Yeah, it's been great insights today on professional memberships. And I think the main thing, that key message from everybody is that it's a two-way street. So it's as much as you give back to the professional memberships and as much as the professional memberships give back to you. So it's always a two-way street. So make the most of it.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Louisa. I really appreciate that. Suchitra, what an incredible panel that we've had today.
Yeah, it's been great, and we're just seeing the kind of questions that have been coming through, and that just shows the kind of interest people have in, when they want to level up their career and try to join a professional membership body. So I've enjoyed listening to everybody's advice, and it's been a great discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to everybody who's been watching and engaging with us. I've been kind of following Slido as well as we've been going along. And we've had lots of different interaction online today and new questions coming in and so on. So great job, Suchitra, in being able to navigate, our way through all of that content and pick out, you know, the key questions to keep the panel on their toes. So look, very well done, everybody. Great job, panelists. We're going to move on now a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about what's kind of coming up next with Level Up. Now, look, later on today at 1300 BST, British Summer Time, 2 p.m. in Europe and 8 a.m. over in the US on the eastern seaboard, we've got the world of certifications that as our theme, and a focus on exam technique. So that's what's coming up later on today. Next Monday, in episode 12, we'll return to the world of public-private partnerships at 7 a.m. UK time, 11:30 in India, and 5 p.m. in Australian Eastern Daylight Time, because I think the clocks are changing there. And we're going to be focusing on service-led PPPs. We've got Richard Foster, who's one of the contributing authors to the World Bank Body of Knowledge on PPP. So he's going to be taking us through that. Should be an exciting time. Later on the same day, we're going to be discussing IT service management, and in particular, the challenges facing the modern service manager in all of the diversity and all of the interest that that will bring. So please do subscribe to the show. We'll send you over a personal summary of what's coming up next, and also an invitation so that you can see how to join us here on the panel and level up your career with APMG. So thanks very much, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Bye-bye now.